Hey guys, back with some more Bazaar. It is Fogonator here, and now we have both expansions revealed. Dooley and Mac, both getting expansions. Now, both of which are kind of themed around flying. Not completely, but a lot of it is. So I guess before we get into it, like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. It helps out my channel a lot. We've been seeing a lot of growth recently. It's been really cool to see. Just a quick shout out to BeRad, who made this spreadsheet compiling all of the items. And then also a quick shout out to Mr. Fruit, who revealed the Douly Season 5 pack, and Little Monk Jihai, who revealed the Mac Season 5 pack. So, Douly expansion. First of all, we have Unstable Grav Well. All of your items start flying and destroy this and an enemy item with no cooldown for the fight. Seems decent, right? Like, we just destroy a passive item. So when we think things like robotics factory, like shipwreck, there are a lot of great items to target with this. Things like a hoverboard, bladed hoverboard. There are a lot of good things that I can think of. And what I would assume is that the cooldown gets reduced. When it gets upgraded, like it goes from 8 to 7 to 6, whatever. This seems good, especially in the late game if we can get it going fast enough and like you just run into one of those insane combos. Chaff. Now, when an adjacent item burns, shield 10. When an enemy would destroy your items, this is destroyed instead. I love the theme of it. Like you shoot your flares and it blocks the missiles, the incoming missiles. I love the theme of it, and it's pretty useful as well as a passive item. You get a little bit of shield. It obviously won't work with a lot of things like Red Firefly because it does rely on adjacent haste and slow, but I love the theme of this thing. Like we just get to tank a destroy proc basically and use it on a small item. Even if it's like destroy a large item or destroy any item, whatever, it destroys chaff instead, right? Obviously, synergy on opposite boards here. Unstable Grav Well, if it goes off, it destroys this if the enemy has this on their board. Hovertech. One other item starts flying. When you crit with a flying item, it stops flying. Your flying items have plus 50% crit chance. So what I'm seeing here is that we want items to start and stop flying a lot, and that enables this. So when we crit with a flying item, it stops flying. It doesn't seem like it would work with our next item, Launcher Core. So 2 other items start flying. Charge your flying items 1 second. When you use a friend or a flying item, charge this 1 second. Now I'm curious if it stacks like Crit Core, because when you use an item to the left of the Crit Core, it gets a double charge. So I'm curious is if we have flying friends, does it charge the Launcher Core twice? But this kind of seems to me like a slightly trickier requirement to charge the Launcher Core, but it kind of seems like the core in a way, because we are eventually going to have all of our items flying with this on the board. It just takes slightly longer to start up, and I don't know whether the amount of items that start flying increases or whether the charge increases, whatever, or just the cooldown. Not sure, but it does seem good. It just seems like it would take a little bit longer to set up, and obviously you can put it anywhere on the board, which is obviously useful. Launchpad. An item starts flying when you use a friend or a flying item burn too. Yeah, straightforward, right? I think that if we think of something like Ignition Core, we can put this to the right of Ignition Core and scale the burn on it. And then whenever we use a friend or a flying item, we burn. That seems pretty good. Yeah, that's kind of the one thing off the dome that I can think of that would be great with it. I'm sure that there are other good things like, a friend drill build, like we have when you use a friend burn skill kind of built in with the launch pad. Seems like it would be great. Levitation pad. If the item to the left of this is flying, haste it for a second. The item to the left of this starts flying. So pretty straightforward. Just makes the item to the left start flying, and if it is already flying, it hastes it. Yeah, there isn't really a lot to say about it. It's just a haster, right? Party float. A friend starts flying. When we use a flying item, shield 50. Your flying items cooldowns are reduced by 10%. I'm kind of torn about this. 10%, it feels like a bit, but not a lot. Like obviously we get the benefit of shield, and if we get an enchant on this, but it doesn't scale or anything, and it's only one friend that starts flying as well. Like obviously the cooldown is the main benefit of this. However, I feel like it could be better. I don't know if the benefits are enough for a large item, really. Propeller hat. At the start of each fight, your cores start flying. When you use a flying item, haste an item for 1 second. That seems amazing, right? Like at the start of each fight, our cores basically automatically take half slow and half freeze, effectively. It seems pretty good, right? And then when we think of something like drill again, when we use a flying item, we're going to have a haste proc, so it seems to work well with something like drill. Alright, radar module. When an enemy uses an item, items adjacent to this gain 3% crit for the fight. Yeah, pretty straightforward, right? Like we just put this adjacent to the core or a really high impact item and hope that our enemies use things frequently. It does seem pretty good. Obviously, at higher levels, this crit is going to scale more, whether that's like 3 into 6 and then into 9, I'm not sure. Seems decent though. Kind of would have to like try it and gauge how fast that crit scales. Kind of feels it's like building crescendo, but not for your items, I guess, and you don't have the negative aspect of having 100% less crit. Pterodactyl. This item starts or stops flying. When this stops flying, deal 1,000 damage. When you use a dinosaur or a flying item, charges 2 seconds. Feels pretty good, right? Like it is obviously they're starting this kind of trend of having high impact large items start at gold now. So things like Mamasaur, things like Magnus Femur, a lot of the large items that you'll center your board around are now starting at gold. Pterodactyl seems like it's going to be one of them. So we can have a lot of rapid flying items to just give it a ton of charge, right? And then it's just going to do a bunch of damage. Obviously, the peak of it is going to be a little bit slower. It's not going to scale as much as the cores do right now. But, you know, speculation, like, I don't know. The cores may not be as good for next season. Who knows? We will see. As a Douly expansion, so lots of flying items, as you'd expect with the release of the new mechanic. And I guess now we'll move on to the max stuff. Kind of one of his big gimmicks, which I am excited for. Pretty standard. I don't know whether people will be using it much in its reagent form, but it is cool to see. Then we have Atmospheric Sampler. When we use an enchanted or flying item, charge an enchanted or flying item 1 second. At the start of each fight, another item starts flying. At the start of each day, get a small reagent. Lots of bonuses. It is a passive item, vehicle, and tech on Mac, which is a little bit weird. But it looks amazing. Looks very, very cool. And I can see it, you know, being a great start of fight, you know, aspect, especially considering some of the other items that we'll look at down the line. Distilled Sunlight. So the cooldown of the item to the left, this is reduced by 5%. When this is transformed, enchant it with shiny if able. So a small shiny item. It is a gold. I think this is pretty great, right? It's a passive item, which is interesting. So you don't have a lot of benefit to running it on board. So this is going to be most likely something that you are keeping in your stash, waiting to transform to try and get a shiny small item, right? And everyone knows a shiny is good. It's just a question of, do you hit, right? Do you hit? And that's the ultimate question. And people will probably say that it's overpowered because of survivorship bias. People will see more people with small shiny items because of this, right? That's kind of all there is to it. It's going to happen because people who survive in the Bazaar, you see their builds more often, right? Because, you know, you don't just lose and get to day 10. You don't just lose and get to day 11, 12, 13. You win. So you're going to see more of this. Flying Potion. Haste your flying items for 1 second. One item starts flying. So it's effectively like an energy potion with extra steps, kinda slightly lower cooldown, and you're only hasting your flying item. So there is a requirement for it, right? So I guess you want something that would enable your items to fly really quickly in the fight. Because, you know, you're only hasting one item with this, which, you know, it seems like it has to build up a little bit before it does anything. Now, my pick for maybe the most stupid, like, broken high roll item is Frozen Horror. 3 seconds, freeze 2 items for 1 second. It is an ammo item, admittedly. When this runs out of ammo, poison both players 100. When this is transformed, enchanted with Icy if able. It's already an amazing freeze item. It's obviously super quick. Not a lot of ammo, but you can get reload. And now when this is transformed, enchant it with Icy if able. Reload? You can get more ammo on Mac relatively easily. You know, like you can find some pretty great skills. Obviously, there's nothing potion-wise, but you can find extra ammo somehow. But yeah, it's really the transform enchanted with Icy if able, right? Like it is a medium item, so it is, you know, medium gold. It's going to be a little bit tricky to find, but you know, there are a lot of medium items that would benefit from having icy. So we'll see how we go. Grab stone. When we use a potion or a relic, another item starts flying. When you use a flying item, gain 5 regen for the fight. Seems similar to some of the stealth regen shield flying items we've seen. Like there have been some in that realm. This seems good, right? Like when we talked about that flying potion, this one here, this seems like it would enable that, right? Because we want to have lots of potions on board, nice and quick. And then when we use a potion or a relic, another item starts flying. Straightforward. Ionized lightning. Adjacent items have plus 10% crit chance when this is transformed to channel with deadly if able. Straightforward. It's another passive item. I like that they're doing that with the reagents. They're just making the passive kind of effects. They're not going to be, you know, too useful on your board necessarily. This one I could see being useful at a higher level maybe. Depends how much the crit scale, like the crit chance scales. But yeah, I like the fact that they're introducing other enchantments with reagents. Orly. When you crit, an item starts flying. Your flying items have plus 20% crit chance. Yeah. Straightforward as well, right? When we think about the flying potion, we want haste. We have crit chance scaling. Not scaling, sorry. We have flat crit chance. And then we have an on-crit effect. So when we have... this is obviously fits really well in a flying carpet build with the changes. Flying carpet is now an item that starts flying, I believe, when it gets procced. Seems like it could be good, right? Sky Spirit Ashes. The art on this is stunning. Like it looks absolutely amazing. At the start of each fight, enchant 2 other non-enchanted items for the fight. When this is transformed, enchant it. Yeah. Like it's on your own board, right? Like we're not enchanting 2 items accidentally on the other person's board. It's just on your own. Seems like it could be really good. And its passive effect, get a large enchanted item that's gold. It's going to be tricky to find. You do have reagent and relic tags, and then you have to try and transform it as well, and you have to get lucky, but it's possible that you get a crazy high roll, you know, like you get your Obsidian Magnus Femur, Obsidian Sky Terror, something along those lines. Now we get to my favorite item. Sky Terror, large friend, weapon dragon. Don't know why he's a friend. Doesn't look very friendly, but dragons are really cool. Sky Terror 4 seconds. This starts or stops flying. When this starts flying, burn 15, and this gains 150 damage for the fight. So on 4 seconds, it starts flying, and then it burns 15, and it gains 150 damage. When it stops flying, deal 150 damage and gain burn. So it's effectively switching back and forth, right? Like you can imagine it like swooping and dealing damage with its wings, going back up, charging up its breath, and then, you know, coming down and doing a breath of fire or something along those lines. Yeah. And we have a little note here. Toby, the lead developer on the game, mentioned that the dragon is now 3.5 seconds, which is very quick. Obviously, it is a gold item, so it's not going to be a carry item doing 150 damage and 15 burn early in the game. But it is going to do a lot of damage really quickly, which, you know, it sounds worse than it is, I think. Like it's, as in it sounds like better than it is. But it is really cool. And that's it. That's all of the expansion items for Mac and for Douly. I'm very excited. The flying mechanic is cool. People have been saying that it's been a little bit underwhelming, but I disagree. People have been complaining about the CC meta. So, you know, getting lots of slow, getting lots of free, and stopping people from doing their things. And they've given us almost a solution to it, right? Like, it's not necessarily Radiant, but it's halving slow and halving freeze, which has been a big problem in the game. People complain about slow and freeze a lot because it's obviously frustrating when your board that you've created can't do anything because of an effect. So yeah, I'm very impressed. I love all the art. I love the themes of the packs as well. Very cool to see, along with the release of Stel, which was in another video. I'm very, very excited for this, and I hope you guys are as well. Just a quick reminder, like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.